Good afternoon, everyone. This is Judge Hatcher. Myself and the other commissioners are joining the hearing at the moment, and we will begin taking testimony in just a minute or two. Welcome our meticulous court reporter, Ms. Bench. Good to see you again today.
You too.
Commissioner Kochmar's here.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
All right, let's go ahead and we will get started. Let's go on the record. First, I would ask that everyone please mute themselves unless they are speaking, and that'll cut down on the noise level and prevent audio feedback. Today is August 10th, 2022. The Missouri Public Service Commission has set this time for a local public hearing to give members of the public a chance to comment about either Evergy, Missouri Metro or Evergy, Missouri West electric general rate increase applications. Those file numbers, there's two of them, ER-2022-0129, that's for Evergy, Missouri Metro. ER-2022-0130 is the rate increase request of Evergy, Missouri West. The Missouri Public Service Commission regulates the rates charged by public utility companies in Missouri to ensure that those rates are just and reasonable. The Commission also regulates the quality of service and safety of the operations of public utilities. The Commission is made up of 5 commissioners. The commissioners are appointed by the governor to fixed terms and confirmed by the Senate. The commissioners employ a staff of engineers, accountants, attorneys, financial analysts, and other specialists in the field of utility regulation. My name is Charles Hatcher. I am the regulatory law judge that will preside over this hearing. And with me today are Commissioners Jason Holzman and Glenn Kochmar. This is an official hearing of the Missouri Public Service Commission, and the statements and testimony of witnesses will be recorded by a court reporter, and they are given under oath. The Commission has not made any decisions in this case, and thus the commissioners cannot answer any questions today. They have to remain impartial until all of the evidence is presented. Let's start with our abbreviated entries of counsel. Addresses are well established on the record. We'll start with Evergy, Missouri Metro.
Yes, Roger Steiner appearing for Evergy Metro and Evergy West.
All right, that might have been a curveball. Thank you, Commissioner Holzman. Good afternoon. We are just getting started. For Evergy, Missouri West.
Roger Steiner for Evergy, Missouri West.
Thank you, sir. For the staff of the commission.
Carolyn Kerr, the staff of the Missouri Public Service Commission.
Thank you. And the Office of the Public Counsel.
Don Kleiser on behalf of the Missouri Office of the Public Counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And again, we do have a number of intervening parties in this case. They're not required to be at this hearing, but in case there are any of the counsel or any of the interveners who would like to have their presence noted for the record, please go ahead and speak up now. Okay, let the record reflect there were no replies. Let's move on. The process for this hearing is I will call the names on the sign-up sheet in the order that they appear. I have 4 names on my sign-up sheet. When I call your name, please go ahead and unmute. I will then place you under oath and ask you to state and spell your name and then ask you for your testimony. If you are a telephone caller, to unmute, it is *6. If you're on the app or the WebEx, there's going to be a button associated with your login screen. But for telephone users, it's *6 to unmute. We'll get started. The first name I have on my list is Rebecca Daugherty, Daugherty. I'm pretty sure I might be mispronouncing that. Rebecca. Okay, no answer. Let's move to Kimmy Igla. The spelling I have is I-G-L-A.
Yes, that's correct.
Is there a Kimmy Igla to testify?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent, thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I am not hearing you.
Yes.
Um,
Can you hear me now?
oh, perfect. There you are.
Okay. I was whispering.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you. And tell me, how do we pronounce your name?
It's Igla. Yeah,
Igla? Miss Igla, please go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to offer my testimony today. As mentioned, my name is Kimmy. I've lived under Evergy in Kansas City, Missouri for the last 7 years. I'm here because Evergy's proposed rate increase will harm the most vulnerable while exacerbating the climate crisis. And I feel called to use my voice in this hearing to stand up for myself and my community against what I believe to be extortion of our money for purposes we do not align with. While Evergy continues to invest in non-renewable fossil fuel, nearly $500 million a year on imported coal, we, the ratepayers, continue to plead for a better life out from under the thumb of an energy monopoly that is willfully harming our planet and our livelihoods using our own dollars. Evergy, as a corporation, with its millions of dollars from the people, could utilize the best energy technology that betters all of our lives. And the corporate executives who profit from those millions are, in fact, human beings with an innate ability to feel empathy. Instead, I see this empathy as cast aside while ratepayers suffer from worsened air quality and the subsequent health conditions. The millions that could be invested in a renewable future are instead dumped back into coal, which is not only more expensive, it's proven harmful to the planet and all of us, including the executives who make these choices. With 13% of Missourians living below the poverty line, this rate increase will only further the looming risk of energy insecurity. Imagine what it would be like to have to pick between feeding yourself or paying your energy lord. This is a choice that poverty-stricken Missourians have had to make and will only be made worse with an increased rate in our most susceptible communities. Next, imagine the benefits if Evergy were to spend that same $500 million a year investing in efficiency and renewable energy in Missouri and Kansas. I believe our state regulators will hold Evergy accountable for all of us, and that is why I am here today. It's clear that the corporation insists on increased rates, so I ask that this money be used to invest in building a better future, utilizing renewable energy such as wind and solar. Evergy has the power to halt the investment in archaic technology. It's time to listen to statistics and reason, to invest in technology that's not only more affordable for all, it's safe, reliable, and efficient. listen to the people and help prepare this earth for future generations, please. Evergy needs to expedite the retirement of its Hawthorne coal plant by 2025 and all of its coal plants no later than 2030, because we have a shot at avoiding the worst impacts of our already changing climate. Thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you, Ms. Eaglon. Are there any commissioner questions? All right, hearing none. The next name on our list is Mary K. McGinty. Miss Mary K. McGinty?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Did you
I'll
want
go
my
ahead and
video
swear you
on?
in. No, ma'am. If you would like to turn it on, that's completely your choice. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And please go ahead and tell us your testimony.
Yes. Again, my name is Mary Kay McGinty. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, 4th District. I've lived here since 94. And I also would like to state that I am very concerned about the future of our environment and climate change. I am a mom who worries what my daughter will inherit, and I believe that the continued use of fossil fuels is going to continue to degrade our environment and continue to cause hardship, not only for those who are most vulnerable, but it will that will expand and more people will suffer. Um, Fossil fuels not only are exacerbating climate change, but they harm our health. And I would like to see Evergy take their ratepayers' money and invest it in cleaner options, um, such as clean, safe, affordable, renewable energy. I know that, or I understand that Evergy spends about $500 million of its customers' money to import coal, and I can only imagine what the company could do with those funds if they switched to investing in efficient renewable energy. I would like to ask that the Public Service Commission disallow future investments in Evergy's coal plants, and I would ask that Evergy look to retire the Hawthorne coal plant as soon as 2025 and all of its coal plants no later than 2030. I appreciate so much this opportunity to speak to the Public Service Commission, and I myself and my family are relying on you to guide Evergy towards sustainable energy sources like wind and solar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGinty. Are there any commissioner questions for Ms. McGinty? All right, we'll move on. The last name I have on my list, and for everyone in the audience, I will open up to anyone who did not pre-register if they decided they wanted to give their comments to the commissioners today. But first, we'll get to our last name on the list, Connie Harden. Connie Harden. Just say hello, and that'll bring you to the front of everyone's screen. And again, if you're on a telephone, it's *6 to unmute. Connie Harden. No response. I'll call the first name on the list, Rebecca Doherty. Again, no response. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to testify, just as you've seen, and give your comments to the Public Service Commissioners?
Yes, I would like to do so.
Yes, go ahead and give me your name, please.
My name is Cody Boston. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Boston, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead with your comments.
Thank you. And I just want to thank everyone here for the opportunity to hear my testimony. Like I said, my name is Cody Boston. I've lived in Kansas City for 4 years now. I was born and raised in Shawnee. Much like the previous two testimonies, I have a lot of concerns about a livable future in a climate crisis that is unmitigated. And we'll hope the board recognizes that utility companies like Evergy have a large role to play in preserving livable future on this planet for folks in my generation. I'm 28, and generations to come. I know, personally speaking, I don't plan to bring children into a world where I'm unsure that they will have a future that is livable on this planet. I have many friends who share that concern, and many family members as well. But additionally, in the 4 years that I've spent in Kansas City, I've experienced some of the hottest summers of my life. One of the most extreme winter storms we've ever had, and Winter Storm Uri. Not only have these extremes resulted in massive utility bills for myself and many others, as one of the roughly 46% of Kansas Cityans who rents, I have little to no control over the conditions of my home, and the ability for it to stay warm in the winters or cold in the summers. I spent that winter storm and those summers in a home which was unable to retain the energy I was paying a significant amount of my income to. That's the case for most renters, disproportionately so for low-income communities and communities of color who live in places that have homes that are not up to code and able to retain energy that they pay for. And most of these renters are subject to cooperating with, or trying to cooperate with, landlords who could not care less. That was my experience, and it's the experience of many, many people I know and love. I've reported on the effects of climate change and had to understand a lot of the grim outcomes scientists predict for us in an unmitigated climate crisis. For instance, we know that the link between greenhouse gas emissions and what climate effects we experience averages as at a 30-year delay. So that means that the warming that we experience today and this summer is a result of emissions created 30 years ago. So even if Evergy stopped burning coal tomorrow, we know that's not in their plans, we would still have the last 30 years of emissions that they are in part responsible for to live with and continue to pay for as captive ratepayers in Kansas City. The science behind climate change has been clear since the mid-80s, and the speed by which utility companies have moved to transition away from fossil fuels has not been proportional to the danger it poses. Evergy has even chosen to make donations to campaigns of politicians like Josh Hawley, Roger Marshall, and Ian Wagner, who belong to a party that traffics for a long time in climate change denial and obstructs any
Mr.
attempts.
Boston, I appreciate your testimony, but can we maybe steer away from the political statements? That doesn't seem to be very on point to our discussion.
Unfortunately, I think it is. They curb any attempts to solve or mitigate the climate crisis through legislation at a federal level and state level. And that's where the majority of my concern lies. A lot of funding and ability to combat some of these
Sir, those concerns are going to be best taken up with those bodies. This is the Public Service Commission. It's a creature of statute, so they enforce the statutes that are on the books. So do you have some testimony directly addressing this rate case?
Yes, I would just like to please ask the board to hold Evergy responsible for the role that they played in the current status of the climate crisis and what we know the predictions for the future, for the near future of the climate crisis to be, and that the costs associated with those and maintaining the infrastructure required to get energy and livable homes to folks in Kansas City, those costs should not be passed on to the ratepayers. That's something. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Boston. Are there any commission questions for Mr. Boston?
Judge, this is Commissioner Holzman. I don't have a question, but I just didn't want to have us break without thanking everybody for coming and taking their time to share their thoughts and testify today. There's a lot of things you could be doing, but to take your afternoon and let us hear your opinion matters, and we are listening. And I just wanted to thank everybody who took their time. Thank you, Judge.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Holzman. I echo that as well.
Judge, this is Commissioner Kochmeyer.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kochmeyer.
Yes, thank you. I want to echo Commissioner Holzman's statement and thoughts. We do want to thank everyone that took the time to express their opinion here today, and we do take it seriously. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. We'll do one last call. Anyone that would like to testify who is on the call this afternoon, registered or not, anyone who would like to testify, just speak up and that'll bring you to the front of everyone's WebEx screen. Otherwise, we'll be closing this public hearing. Again, it's *6 if you called in on a telephone to unmute. Okay, hearing no responses, again, I'd like to thank all of our participants and witnesses. Especially, I'd like to thank all of the council for taking their lunch hours and the commissioners to join us at this public hearing. If you did have comments and didn't want to make them here, or you know of someone who would like to make comments, they can still make comments in this case, written comments, by going to the PSC's webpage. That is psc.mo.gov. And up in the upper right-hand corner is a link that'll take you to offering comments on a case. And just make sure to put down the file number for Evergy, Missouri Metro. That again is ER-2022-0129. And for Evergy, Missouri West, that is ER-2022-0130. If you have any questions for the Office of the Public Counsel, please send those to them. Their email address is MOPCO, that's MOPCO, at opc.mo.gov. Again, I want to thank you all for coming to our WebEx hearing and participating. We are off the record. This hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you, Judge Hatcher.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your afternoon.